You're listening to Zap Night, a video game review podcast. Join your hosts Danny, Kaylie, Seth, and Evan as we review video games from all systems and all genres. Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Zap Night. I'm your host Danny.
I'm your co-host Kaylie.
Kaylee's back!
Yay!
It's been like 6 months?
Year.
It's been a while. This is episode number 48. We are talking about...
That means the next one's 50.
Yeah, for us, yeah. So this episode is specifically on Super Mario Bros. For the Nintendo. But before we get into that, we have a few awesome things to talk about. First off, this is our 3rd year anniversary episode.
We were just a baby when we started. Now we're just kind of a baby. We're a toddler now.
I feel like we've grown quite a bit since the first episode for sure, but like that first year was a real big struggle of getting the sound quality just right and figuring out how to actually talk. Like, it's one thing to just talk in public amongst each other, but it's another thing to sit down and be a little more thorough in how we describe things. I don't know.
There's less like thinking, like you're just talking now, where before you're like,
yeah. There was a lot of ums and uhs that we cut out. As of right now, though, most of our episodes, I don't really do a whole lot of editing. Like, I might edit out very specific things if we really screw something up, like in the story or whatever, but which happens a lot, especially with
those long ones.
Yeah, exactly. So, 3 years. It's been awesome. We're not going anywhere. We're still keeping at it. In fact, going to our next announcement, our unnews, if you will. We are adding 2 more shows to our Zap Night lineup for podcast episodes.
Yay!
So, we're going to have 4 episodes a month, and we're going to stick to the same schedule that you guys are used to. The first is still going to be us, depending on if I have a special guest or not. But the first of every month is still going to be a review episode. The 15th of every month is still going to be a review episode. But we're going to put 2 in between those of something a little bit different. So the 7th, we are calling Zap Chats.
Zap Chats.
Basically, it's just a chance for you guys to get to know us better. It's going to be audio only, so if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll want to subscribe to our podcast in some podcast app or on iTunes or SoundCloud. You might have to find it somewhere else, but they're going to be audio only, and that's mainly to help me with editing, because editing takes a little bit of time, especially when it comes to the video. It's a little bit trickier. So, these extra episodes are just audio. Zap Chats is going to be on the 7th. We're going to be talking about just about anything. So, it's mainly going to be video game related, obviously. That's what our life revolves around anymore.
But it's just casual chatting.
Yeah, it really is.
Chit-chatting.
Yep. And we'll throw some extra stuff in there. We'll do some, AMAs and some interesting
subjects and questions.
We'll take questions. We'll read podcast reviews. That would be fun to read. If anybody wants to review our podcast, that would be wonderful.
All the hate comments.
We will absolutely read every single one of them. I would be down for that. And then also, we're going to be adding on the 21st, we're going to do a unnew games. And basically what that is all of our thrift shop games that we've been collecting over the years. So if you guys recall, I don't know, it's been almost a year now since I've stopped.
Has it really?
Almost, not quite. Since Seth and Evan joined, I think they did 1 or 2 episodes where they did thrift shop games, but we used to do a thrift shop game for every podcast review episode, and that was kind of part of the episode where we talked about the main game that we were reviewing, but then we would have like a mini review at the end. We don't do that anymore. And the biggest reason is because, one, it took up too much time as far as podcasts like setup. So we kind of just dropped it off. We didn't make an announcement or anything. We just let it fade out. But we're bringing it back because, one, the videos do pretty good on YouTube. It seems like a lot of people are interested in that kind of stuff. So we thought we would play the games, not all the way through, just like we were, just play a little bit of it to get a feel for the game, and then we will sit down and talk about it on a podcast episode. And we may do, one or two, we may do a whole set of like
party games.
Yeah, party games. Right, exactly.
Fighting games.
Exactly.
Fun games.
So yeah, that's unnew games. So they're games that are no longer new. They are unnew. They are not a new game. It is a unnew game.
They're unnew to us.
They are unnew to us. So, yeah, if that sounds like fun, make sure that you are subscribed to all of our stuff. Like I said, these aren't going to be on YouTube, though I may still post the audio on YouTube. So, I mean, obviously still stick around on YouTube too. So, there may be options that we'll still upload them. But you just won't have our pretty faces like you do now. So, if you're not watching this on YouTube, check it out, because you can see our pretty faces. And subscribe while you're there. That really does help us out a lot. And we're doing a lot of work we have a lot of plans in place to update our YouTube channel a little bit and add some thumbnails and, just try and spice it up a little more. And, yeah.
Spicy.
Yeah. We have a lot of big changes in the plans right now, along with our set. Right now we are working on moving my entire game room around. So pretty soon this will look a lot different up what you can see on the video. Sorry if you're just audio only, but
it looks
we're pointing amazing, at the wall.
But not amazing enough.
It's overflowing. That's the whole problem, is that we have games just kind of flowing everywhere. So all this is going to get rearranged. Anyway, that's not what you're here for. You're here to listen to us talk about Super Mario Bros. So, yeah, I mean, I grew up with Super Mario Brothers, obviously, like most people
have. Yeah.
I mean, that's like the first game. Like, you have the generation a little bit older than us who may say,
I remember Atari.
Pong. The way you said it. Like, Pong is like one of the first games, or like, Pac-Man, or like the arcade games. Obviously, those might be first. But when you're talking about like home entertainment system, most of the people right now say Mario. I mean, that's just how it is.
It's definitely stayed iconic. Yeah, there's no doubt. Yeah. Very few people don't know what. Yeah, very few people don't know what Mario is.
So Mario was developed by Nintendo. Obviously, it's been released on the Nintendo.
And then everything after
and
that.
And then everything else.
You could probably play it on your Google Home at this point.
Probably, yeah. It's definitely been released for like all the systems past the Nintendo. The Super Nintendo had a version. The Game Boy Advance has a version. All of the virtual consoles have a version. So this game is very easy to find. We'll put it that way. It was released in September of 1985.
I was not even a thought.
I was just a hope, I think. My mom was kind of hoping for a kid
glimmer.
But yeah. So, let's talk about the story.
So, you start off in the Mushroom Kingdom, and they're invaded by the Koopa. The Koopa? That's what it said in the booklet. So the booklet, actually, you get a story in the booklet.
There is no story otherwise. Like, if you pop this game in on the Nintendo or any system, you just start playing Mario. There is no story behind it unless you find a booklet. And luckily, we have a booklet. We actually have the one from the original Nintendo, and we have another one from the Game Boy Advance. Yeah, well, they released like a classic edition for the Game Boy Advance. And the stories are almost identical with very slight changes. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, in any case, so the Koopa invades Mushroom Kingdom, and they turn everyone into stones, bricks, and mushrooms. And I'm sorry, does that mean we've been killing people through this entire playthrough? This
Every
is terrible.
Brick that you hit, you are killing someone, yes.
That's terrible. I think people have talked about that, though, after
they have,
reading the booklets. So apparently through this, it's said that the daughter of the Mushroom Kingdom, which happens to be Peach, is the only one that can break the spell. And the Koopas actually have a king, which of course you guys know as Bowser. And he knows this, so he kidnaps the princess and hides him in his one of several towers. And apparently, I don't know how, by the way, but apparently word gets to Mario through who knows who, because everyone's been turned into mushrooms or stones or...
It's by all the toads.
Or field horsehair plants, as one of the first guides is worded it. But anyway, word gets to him, and he makes it his personal vow to save the people of the Mushroom Kingdom and their princess. And that's it.
Yeah?
It's a very short story summary.
And then basically, you are then Mario, and you go through all the levels, and your princess is in another castle, all the way up until the 8th world, where you finally find the princess. And that's literally it. And now, by the way, this game does not refer to Bowser as Bowser.
Right.
They refer to him as King Koopa, which was his name, like, for the longest time until somewhat recently. I mean... I say recently, like, I think he was turned into Bowser, like, in the Super Nintendo, but in any case, he was, like, King Koopa yet. For a while.
I don't think Princess Peach did, either.
It was Paulina.
It was Paulina first?
It was Paulina in, like, Donkey Kong. And then I think Paulina is the one that you rescue in Mario, but then they actually give her a name, like an official name,
right?
In some of the later ones. I don't know. I could be a little bit off on that, but that's how I understand it. Is it was Paulina, and now it's not. Now it's Peach, and Paulina is just like an ex-girlfriend. So nobody talks about her, but she's there.
That happened.
So yeah, story.
We averaged it
for
each of our individual scores.
I couldn't really give this like a solid story score because there is no story. Like when you sit down and play, you're just playing Mario. There is no story behind it. You're playing Mario.
As for us as kids, we didn't think to read the booklet. You know,
nobody did.
That's how it is with a lot of games that we've played. It's like, oh, there is a story, but it's not really talked about. You just play the game.
I mean, when you think about it, like obviously there's some story because your goal is to save the princess, and when you make it to the castle, your princess is in another castle. So, like, obviously, you're saving a princess, but why is kind of hidden. It's kind of buried. So, like, if you look in the booklet, obviously you figure it out, but, you know, as a kid, you're not going to do that. You don't care. You just go straight in to play the game.
Hey, Mario! Kill all the blocks! So, my score averaged out as a 5, then.
Mine averaged at a 6. So
you always score higher than I do. I must just be pessimistic.
I don't know. I think I always just. I think I give it a little bit higher just because my heart's a little more into it. Yeah. Depending on the game. I mean, I don't know. We'll get to it. So graphics, I gave it a 6.
Really? I gave it a 5. I felt like 5 was a little much. They reused a lot of stuff, and I get it. It was for its time.
Yeah, and I think that's where I'm coming from. Like, the Nintendo Entertainment System launched with this game. I mean, this was the groundbreaking game that started Nintendo on this track. And I think that, you know, all the games that we had before were arcade-based and maybe, you know, had better graphics, but all the home-based games that we had up until that time were just like blocks on a screen. So then to change those blocks to actual sprites and have them be fairly decent, even all this time later, a 6 was fair.
I feel like the 5 it was not good, but it was not bad. There were some points that were awesome, and there was just some points like, because I think like the Hammer Bros, I think that's like was really cool. Although I did not like it on top of Bowser. I thought it was a good concept to have on top of him, but like the look of it was really dumb to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Some of the stuff again was amazing, and some of it was just kind of meh.
The biggest problem that I had was that we played this game. Sorry, I should have said this ahead of time. We played this game on the Nintendo Classic, mainly because the Nintendo wasn't streaming very well. It wasn't connecting to my capture card very well, so we switched it to the Classic, which worked out great. However, I noticed that on the Classic, the sprites like flickered all the time.
Yeah, it did.
And I don't
really
remember
bad.
that on the original. I don't know if it's the TV. I don't know if it's Classic. I don't know if it is the capture card. I don't know. But yeah, the sprites flickered way too much. And I think that's just an inherent problem of that era of games, too. I mean,
stuff was glitchy.
Yeah, it really was.
Well,
but, I mean, overall, I mean, it wasn't terrible. It's not like an eyesore or so bad that you want to turn it off. But, I mean, they were graphics. They were groundbreaking for the time, but that's about the best I can give it.
So, what did you give it for graphics?
A 6.
I gave it a 5 then.
Yep.
Well, speaking of glitching, if you want to segue into gameplay,
yep.
If you were watching the stream at all, or any of the Let's Plays that we put up, we have a few moments that we were calling like we ate a mushroom, because we'd go into like super mode. I think there was one point, it looked like when I was controlling it that my Mario just punched a bullet bill out of the sky, and it was like performing just insane things. It was like, how is this?
I don't know if it's like a timing thing or what, but like every now and then we would have a round where we just like were jumping at amazing times and hitting stuff that you shouldn't, like hitting
multiple things at once.
And you were hitting stuff like in areas that you don't normally hit an enemy. Like normally an enemy, you jump on top of it and then you damage it or you kill it or whatever. But like the bullets, we were like seriously hitting it face first and it was dying. So like it seemed like Mario was punching.
Well, then, the cheeps, you can jump on top of them and knock them out of the sky. And sometimes they would come up and you would knock them out of the sky if they came up from under you, and other times you would die.
Yeah.
And other things, like when you would hit a Koopa, like its eyeball would graze you, and like a pixel.
Yeah.
Like just a pixel's difference. And it did become frustrating at times, because other times it would be like, how is that not killing me? And then other times it's like, why did that just kill me?
Yeah, yep. And then there were other times that we would play and it was just like death after death after death after
it was
death.
bad. There was a couple bad ones.
And I don't know if it's because we suck at the game or if it's just like a bad run or if like luck isn't on our side. I don't know.
I feel like that you had to get into the groove. We did have to switch our controller up on our Classic.
Yeah, we did.
And I think that helped, but I do think, though, that still, if we had played the original, it still would be kind of... I think the controller being rounded might have helped us.
I think that the classic Nintendo... The Nintendo Classic's controller was just bad. And I think when we switched it to the Nintendo or Super Nintendo Classic's controller, which you can do, they're interchangeable, it worked fine. And I really think that it was just that controller just was built sucky. I
still think regardless, like after we got into practice, because it did seem like we would, like when we played this over 2 days, 2 different days, like a week in between. And you could tell that going back into it, you were kind of rusty. Like you had to get back into the groove. And we'd take breaks and we'd come back and you could just tell that you do get used to it for sure.
I find it funny... Sorry, did you have more?
No, go ahead.
I find it funny that the Super Nintendo, like Mario World, you get into a groove and you're unstoppable.
You just fly on through.
You can just, every single level, you just are killing it all the way through. Where this game, it just didn't feel that way. I think, I'm wondering if it's like a timing thing, because Mario jumps kind of slow.
Absolutely, yes.
And you have to hold that button the whole time he jumps. So it's not just like you push the button and he jumps his height. It's like you hold the button and he jumps as high as he can as long as you're holding the button down.
It's almost like he jumps slow and just like he's heavy.
Yeah, it's weird.
But other times he can just take off running and stuff too. What I hated the most was the freaking bungee trampoline platforms. Those were terrible.
I think they had a similar functionality. Like, the longer you hold the jump button, the higher you go. But you also have to hit the jump button at the right time.
Right, absolutely.
And if you don't, you'll jump really fast, and then you'll fall really fast. And it's, like, weird.
It gave me anxiety.
Yeah, oh yeah. And luckily, there weren't that many levels with those. But there were enough to be annoying.
What I appreciated, with, I guess for comparison, let's say Super Mario World, you're used to flying through that level. Like you were very similar to me. Like we like to just kind of fly and wing it. And some of those levels you had to, like that was the only way that we got to beat them. But some of them you had to stop and actually take your time.
Yeah.
And I think that's like a plus side because you had to think about how you were going to do some of those. Like some of those spots you had to take your time and slowly reach to the next spot. And some of those you had to just fly on through.
Yeah, I think the one that comes to mind when you're talking about that is there's the castle, I think it's the World 6 castle, where you had those spinning fireballs, like the fireballs on a stick or whatever. There's the spinning ones. And there's a room where they're like, there's one on the bottom, then a little bit further, there's one on the top, then a little bit further, there's one on the bottom, and they kind of like staggered like that. And jumping through them didn't really work. Your best, and the way that I ended up beating it was I jumped on top of the bottom like block in the middle and just kind of jumped over it and took my time getting to the end of that. Otherwise, just trying to jump through it, unless you know exactly the timing to jump, which speedrunners do, but I didn't.
Right. This was our...
So, jump, taking our time, going, from obstacle to obstacle, assessing the situation, and then executing the best possible, jump maneuvers to get through it was like the only way in some of these.
Well, that's World 8, the second level with the little spiny guys, like in the very beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Like I don't know how many parts we had to that we had just done over and over. And by the end, I had figured it out of just flying through it. Just give no regard to your lives whatsoever. Just fly through. And that worked.
Yeah.
It really worked. But some of those you had to take your time.
I feel like all of the spiny levels were built that way.
Well, that one was kind of a spiny level, like just the first part.
Yeah,
it really was not a spiny level. It was just...
But I still feel like that all those spiny levels were built that way, including that one. I mean, World 4 level 1, which is a very common world. Everybody goes through there if you're trying to get any further in the
warping.
Game. But that one is built very specifically for running through it. Like everyone that plays, regularly goes through World 4-1 and just flies through it. And it's like built that way, I feel like all of them that has the, what's his name, Lactu or whatever, that is chasing you is built to just speed run through it as best you can.
With the world warping in mind, I appreciated that a lot because once you run out of lives, you are back to the very beginning.
Right.
And we had to implement the save state, which it felt like cheating, but it didn't at the same time because we were trying to just beat the game as quickly as possible. So otherwise you'd have like a billion parts of us just repeating the same thing. I feel
like the way that we used the save states wasn't cheating. I feel like you could have cheated with them, where like literally you take a step, you save it, take a step, you save it. Or like
after every level. Like we save stated it to just the warp pipes, so we didn't have to go through levels 1 through...
So, okay, let's back up. When we first started playing, we wanted to play it as organically as possible. So the worlds 1 through 5, we played where if we died, we backtrack all the way back up. Once we got to World 6, we were kind of fed up.
Yeah, absolutely.
We were kind of fed up with backtracking every single time. So we did a save state at the warp pipe where you could go to 6, 7, and 8. That's where we had our main save state.
So by that point, we had gone through half of the game.
Right. And we did that first half of the game the same way you would play it on the original Nintendo. So then once we did that, it was really just a saving time measure,
right?
More than anything else. Like, yeah, we could have kept going back and replaying levels, 1 and 2, and then
how it was
4-1, 4-2, and then warping on. But it would have taken so much longer to beat this game when we're trying to get through it in, 1 or 2 game sessions. It doesn't really work out that way. So the amazing feature of the save states, saved at the warp pipe. We did worlds 6 and 7 with the warp pipe, saved a ton of time. Then when we got to world 8, we kind of pushed it a little bit, and you can watch the gameplay and you can see our thought process really is saving time. I mean, yeah, we will eventually get it. Like, no matter what, we would eventually get it. But in the, thought of trying to save us some time and really to save people watching it some headache from, oh, they're doing this again. Oh, they're back doing that again.
I mean, after a while,
it was just like...
There was no even talking in some of those points.
Yeah,
it was just like, here we are again. Here we are again. Here we are again.
So when we got to World 8, we did a save state after each level. And it just made it go a little quicker, more than anything else. I didn't feel like it was cheating.
Truthfully,
I mean, we still were just playing the levels over and over again.
Once I figured out how to get past the second level, we could have done it.
Oh, yeah,
we could have gotten by, but at that point we were at the end and we were tired.
Yeah, we were just done and ready. I'm still done. And I don't think I'm going to want to play Mario for a while. At least not like that.
Right. Yeah, and really our goal is to beat it as quickly as possible and review it. Like, we aren't solely dependent on just Let's Plays. So
right, yeah, I mean...
We're trying to keep us true
Our goal is to play the games.
Right.
And beat the games. That's our goal. I mean, that's been our goal since the beginning. And, yeah, I mean, we did that. And, to be honest, this is the first time I've beat Mario 1.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It's the first time. I mean, I've played it countless amount of times. And it's just... This is the first time that I've made it all the way there.
Yep.
I've gotten really close a few times, but man, the jumps that you have to do in 8-2, like where you got to run and get on that that pipe, and then you got to jump over that. That's hard.
What about the last 2 castles, the puzzles, if you will? The
World 7's puzzle was terrible because it was really just like. You had to run through the maze section in like just the right order in order to move on. Otherwise, it just kept looping and looping and looping. And that was a horrible... I don't know why...
We could never remember it. And the thing is if you just continuously run, it'll just loop you. And you kind of forget where the loop begins.
Yeah.
And then it's just a matter of just choose one. At some point, just choose one.
Just keep doing something different until you figure it out.
I kind of had an idea of what I was doing, and I think that helped, but it still was... It was a headache.
I think that's where I was at, too. By the time we finally beat it, it was like I kind of had a rough idea of which way we kind of needed to flow in order to get through it, but it wasn't like they gave you any hints. It was just here it is, just good luck.
On the plus side, there was no enemies. That would have been terrible.
Yeah. And I felt that way about the last one too. So the last one,
that was more fun to me.
Yeah,
if you were gonna do it that way, at least that one was a little more interesting.
That one I felt like wasn't so much a maze endless loop puzzle, which it still was, but it wasn't nearly as bad.
They give you more markers.
It was more like rooms.
Yeah,
like endless like circle rooms. And as you are constantly circling around a room, and then you go down a pipe, and then you are in a different room, and then you're circling until you find the right pipe, and then you go to a different room. So it was like, thinking on it from that point of view was a lot easier to wrap your brain around, and actually, you could remember, okay, well, from the beginning, we go to this warp pipe, and then we got to go to that warp pipe, and then we go through the water level, and then, So it was easier to remember the final castle than it was like the level 7 castle or the world 7 castle. It was just stupid.
Yeah,
it was a stupid concept.
It was just blah.
So what'd you give it for gameplay?
6 out of 10.
I give it a 7. 7 out of 10. I think I'm just like one up on all of your scores.
I think your last one is on par with mine.
Music?
Yeah.
Are we ready to talk about music? Are we done? I think so.
There's not much to talk about music, honestly. We kind of talked about it on the playthrough a little bit.
I gave it a point for every song I could remember.
Oh, really?
No.
Oh, that's funny.
it was just
Well, I think we were like trying to count it, and you could count on like one hand, was it?
Yeah, well, it was under 10 songs easily. You have the World 1 song. You know, World 1. You have the Underground song. Then you have the Underwater song. You know. Anyway, and then you have the Castle song.
Don't forget your dun 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 dun.
Right, yeah, the Star song and then the Death song.
Well, what about the one where you go into the sky? Did that have a special song too? No.
I don't think so.
Yeah, there really was not much. And you know, you have your classic Mario, but that song has really evolved over the years. Yeah. And I mean, it's classic to us, but other than that, I remember the first the overworld, the underworld. Well, it was kind of an underworld, but it just wasn't much. I
mean, any one of those songs, if you play any one of those songs, most of the people around the world,
that's Mario.
Yeah, are going to recognize it. It doesn't matter which song it is. I mean, whether it's the Star song or the Bowser Castle, or, you know, the Castle music. I mean, any one of those are so easily recognizable.
You know, the thing is, while there wasn't much, it was repetitive, I didn't think of it as repetitive.
I did.
Did you?
Yeah, I kind of got sick
I was
of it
fine.
for a while.
I did enjoy the sound the fireflies. We described it as a plucking.
Yeah,
it was plucked them out of the sky. I don't know.
I gave it a 4.
I gave it a 4 as well. It was just lackluster.
I think
for its time.
I think the only thing, the big deal about it is, 1, it's insanely memorable, and 2, it's been around forever. So, I mean, those two things, because it's memorable and it's been around now for so long, everyone knows that. Everyone says it's a great song.
It's okay.
It's all right. I don't know. I think that out of all of the areas, I think that music kind of was like the most underwhelming piece.
Yeah, I agree.
So overall, I gave it a 7 out of 10.
Really?
For an experience. I've never played the game like this. Every time I play the game, it's usually like the first couple levels. Maybe I'll do the warp pipe to go to World 4, and then I'll like die trying to get to World 8, and then I just quit. And that's usually it. Where we played every world, we played every level, we killed so many Goombas.
People, if you will.
Yeah, right? And I don't know, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good time.
I put it down as 5. I think I'm going to change it to a 6.
Okay.
I can see myself playing this again, not in the near future, but in the far. Like, it's a game that you can bring yourself back to. And it wasn't bad. I mean, it doesn't... our score, it still is graded the same at the end of the day for us. I mean, a point didn't make a difference, but So for me, a 6 out of 10 overall. It was not the best Mario game.
Yeah.
For sure. But it was a classic.
It's one of those Mario games that, I mean, it was groundbreaking at the time, but if you're going to play a Mario game, that's probably not the one that that's probably not your favorite. I mean, for most people, I mean, if you're a gamer, I guess kind of in general, maybe specifically a Nintendo gamer, Mario 1 probably isn't your go-to Mario game. It's probably going to be Mario 64, or it's going to be Super Mario World, something like that. For me, my favorite Mario is Super Mario World.
Yeah,
by
same.
far. It's my favorite Mario game. But Mario Maker is really fun. I think the controls in Mario Maker are a little more responsive.
Right.
And he jumps a little bit easier. So I think that those Mario Maker levels are a little bit on the easier side. And Mario Maker 2 is coming out soon.
Yay.
I'm excited. If you guys are interested, let us know if you want us to review Mario Maker 2.
And then make us worlds.
I kind of been thinking about if I want, like, I'm definitely going to buy it, but I don't know if I want to review it yet, because it's going to be so much like Mario Maker 1. But, I mean, if you guys are super interested, let us know. I'd love to find out.
Send us the worlds.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that gives me a 26 out of 50 overall.
So that's a 30 out of 50 for me. So that's a 56 out of 100, which is an F.
Sorry, Mario. He was not doing his job. He was supposed to be plumbing.
I know. That's true.
He was supposed to be a mushroom.
Not swimming in the sewer. You know, again, we kind of talked about this before the stream started, or before the episode started, but an F is low for this game just because of its reputation. I mean, it's such an iconic game that everyone knows about. Everyone, you start playing that like Mario theme song, you play World 1-1, and it's just like this rush of nostalgia,
right?
And it makes you itch for the controller. It makes you want to play.
It's one of those games that you want your children to play if you were a gamer.
Yeah.
Or especially if you grew up playing Mario. It's one of those games you want your children to at some point play.
That said, looking at it critically and playing it all the way from start to finish, I was very frustrated a lot of the time.
I don't know.
So from
we
that
couldn't
aspect,
have done it as children.
from like a gameplay perspective, playing it all the way through, yeah, it kind of is an F. But like from a nostalgia point of view, it's maybe like a C. So,
extra credit points.
Yeah. I mean, my personal rating, I would probably give it a C. But like when you look at it critically and technically, and it just doesn't quite.
You failed. I don't know. It sounds so harsh. It gets an F, but it was such a great game.
We just got done playing some of the best games. I mean, I just finished playing Zelda Breath of the Wild. I mean, that's an amazing game. Like, to play that and then turn around and play Mario Brothers is like two completely different worlds, as you would expect. But I mean, it's such on this dramatic spectrum. But, again, for its time, it was really good, but I still think my score reflects what we would have given it, even if it came out yesterday. I mean, even if we didn't know what games were like,
If we were this age back in the day doing
I would say if we were reviewing this back in 1985, I would still kind of be about the same thought process. Like, it was still kind of a frustrating game. I mean, if it was the only game I had, yeah, I absolutely would put hundreds of thousands of hours into it, but, I mean,
You'd speedrun it?
I don't know. I've seen speedrunners for it, and they can do some amazing things.
Well, before you check that out, check out the rest of our Zap Night YouTube videos.
Yeah, we did play through this game, and recorded it all to be uploaded to YouTube. If that sounds interesting at all, check it out. You might want to kind of skim through it a little bit. I am thinking about going through a lot of our previous Let's Plays and compiling some of the highlight But if you want to watch all of our commentary, all of our exact of the moment thoughts of this game, that's a good way. That's a good way to find out.
Sucks.
How many times did I say, this game, man?
Yeah.
I'm so tired of this game.
And then the several clapping.
Yeah. Oh, man. I had a good time playing this game.
It was fun playing with you, too.
I had a good time.
I think we're pretty funny, but we have some funny moments, so I think playing with you made it really fun, so.
Awesome.
I had fun playing with you, too.
It's just like the days when we were real little playing Nintendo, and
I was really little.
You were
I was very little.
I think I had a Nintendo like to start off with, and obviously I had Mario and like Punch Out and Snake Rattle and Roll. But then I got a Super Nintendo, and the Nintendo then went to our grandma's house, and that's where we played it the most.
Right.
And do you remember playing it with the Game Genie and like
trying to guess all the different.
Yeah, we didn't have like a code book, so we would just like type in random stuff to try.
That's
and
all
get
we would do for hours.
And then
we'd write them down.
When we found an interesting combo, we would actually write it down in like a little like paper that we had. Oh man, it was fun. Good times. So if you want more of us talking, check out Zap Chats. That's coming up on the 7th, so next week. The goal is to have an episode every week, though, because we're doing it on specific dates. It may not always work out that way. It may be where it's kind of like 2 in the same week. It just kind of depends on where they land. But it might not always be Kaylie. We're not that.
Finally, it won't be just Kaylie.
No. The other groups, I guess we're talking about it again. The other podcast episodes are gonna be kind of the whole group. So, you know, me and Lori, like you and Brandon might come on. Seth and Evan will be here. It just kind of depends. Yeah, more guests. Yeah, absolutely. We might do some interviews with other gamers. There's a huge Instagram community that I'm getting to be part of, and a whole bunch of those gamers are really, really cool. There's a lot of podcast people. The Podcast Gaming Alliance, you guys are awesome, and I would love to sit down and have a conversation with those guys.
Yeah, we can Skype some people in.
Yeah, that's kind of the plan. So,
get interacting. Get to know us. Let us get to know you.
If you want to hear more of us, that's the way to do it. Just check out all of our new shows that we have coming up. So, yeah, let's talk about our next review episode. It's gonna be Half-Life. Seth and Evan. Seth and Evan are reviewing Half-Life 2. I think they're playing it on the Xbox 360 or maybe the original Xbox. I don't know where they're playing it, but they're playing it on a box of some sort. They're playing it on some kind of box, a PC box, an Xbox. I don't know. But they have a copy, so they're playing that. We are going to be reviewing. We're busting out the Spyro Reignited trilogy again.
But this time it's not the second one because we already did Ripto's Rage, but not for the Reignited.
Yeah,
we did Reignited for Ripto.
We did the first Spyro Dragon as the original.
On
the PlayStation.
You are correct. Oh my goodness.
Ripto's Rage was done.
It's been a little bit of time.
Ripto's Rage was done on the trilogy.
And now we're going to do the third one.
And now we're going to do the third one. And I've never played the third game.
I hadn't either.
So I'm really excited and kind of intrigued to start this third game. But also, along with playing Spyro, we're going to be starting Final Fantasy VI.
You're committing to it.
I'm committing to it. I'm announcing it because I need to commit to it. So yeah, throughout the month of July and then throughout the month of August, especially in August, I'm going to try and stream as much as I can. But yeah, I'm playing Final Fantasy VI. We are playing Final Fantasy VI. You have to start it.
I have to start it. I've been busy doing weird stuff, so...
are you going to play yours on the Super Nintendo Classic?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. I am for sure, no matter how I have to rig up my computer to play, I am playing the original version. I have the original copy, the Super Nintendo copy. I'm playing that game. That's how it was when I played Final Fantasy IV, because I have the original copy of 4. So Final Fantasy VI is going to be the same way, playing it on the original Super Nintendo. So... really excited to start this game. It's a daunting task because it's a big game, but we have guides and we have the internet, so we'll get through it. We'll get through it, and then we can start 7 soon. And I'm so excited.
I know you are.
I mean, 7 is my favorite game ever, so it's going to be really hard to play this game critically, but yeah. So, but that's a conversation for another time. So thank you guys so much for watching and listening. Stay tuned for all of our new content. I hope you guys are just as excited as we are.
Yeah.
And, anything else?
No, that's
right.
it. We're excited to play.
All right, guys. Well, you have yourself a wonderful week, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.